What's up, YouTube, Instagram? Now we're going live on Facebook. All right, this is the countdown. What's up, guys? Welcome to the live coaching call today. Today, live stream. My name is Sam Nang Man. I'm the head coach at Peak. I think I'm live now. Yes. Let's redo it. Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Nangman. I'm the head coach at Peak Performance Academy, lifestyle and performance coach, hybrid athlete, and philosopher. I got this on Instagram, recording it on YouTube, so you get the higher quality video and audio. But we're here on Facebook Live to get you guys some good information about how to perform at your best. So let's start off with why. I actually a practitioner of flow. So this coaching call is called Mastering the Art of Flow for Peak Performance. I did a podcast earlier. It was stages how to get into flow. So there's a podcast out there. So if you wanted this is like a follow up to it to get some more information behind it, and some new research has come out in flow that I'm actually applying and on myself, and share the insight with you with some real stories and how you could apply it and be really practical. That's the reason why I do these live coaching calls. It's not theory that we're going for, because books and articles and blogs and videos, they're all out there. Podcasts, they're all out there. But the goal is to get you to do something with the information. So that's the start of why. So flow is a state where you're fully immersed, focused, and performing at your absolute best. It's more than just a productivity hack. It's the key to unlocking your potential and driving personal development to new heights. When you're in flow, tasks become effortlessly, creative surges, and performance reaches its peak. The idea was pioneered by Professor Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. We call him the godfather of flow. If anybody's in personal development and any personal development book, they probably referred to him, because he is a psychologist, brought this term back to modern times so people could, use it. And one of the other leading coaches, writers, author is Stephen Kotler. He's had numerous books that he's wrote, and I study him, and has an institute and research a lot on the state of flow as well and be able to describe it. So that's what we're going to be doing in today's live coaching call, is to go some of their principles, how we could apply it, and how to use it. But to apply it to peak performance, to productivity, because this is what we call the zone where you are immersed in your work and where you are not distracted, and it almost comes effortlessly. It does take work, right? It takes a lot of mental bandwidth, because flow is not, a lot of it is not a lot about like learning more. It's about mastering both taking new information and getting and processing old information and removing some of those thoughts or some of those old habits that you have. That's why this is called mastering the art of flow. Okay, because when you add something, you do also have to remove something, because if you continue to add, you won't be able to perform at your best. You got a lot of information, you become overwhelmed. That's what happens when overwhelm happens. So this is a process of thought, right? Thinking about how you go about processing your information, your personal development, and getting rid of some of those old beliefs when you do that, or even whatever you're learning. So it could be applied to anything, and we'll try to be able to apply it to life, business, and coaching and personal development, so you get a good understanding of how it applies to that. That's the most important thing. You don't get anything from this coaching call or anything. It's just to start thinking about it and start removing some of those limiting thoughts or limiting patterns that might be holding you from performing at your best. Okay, so I've coached many people, and the key factor is that limiting thought, right? As soon as that's removed, you can get into a flow state. But a flow state has to be maintained, it has to be trained, it has to be coached, it has to be evolved, just like every other thing that we do. Okay, so Professor Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, he is the godfather psychologist of flow, and let's talk about some examples in real life. Let's talk about this guy right here, the GOAT. This is a great example because I've studied him, and the art of flow is being fully immersed in your work, right? If you're an athlete, you're an entrepreneur, if you are an artist, musician, right? When you get into this full immersion mode, you are creative. There's blocks, but you know how to remove them. You know how to anticipate things. You know how to anticipate where the balls are going. You know how to anticipate where your teammates are gonna be. You could control your body, control your mind. Time typically slows down during this, and you guys probably have experienced this before. I experienced this. I'm experienced it now, and I'm also experienced it in my early 30s. And it's full immersion where you're fully concentrated, and it goes in stages, but we're going to talk about that. But you have probably experienced this flow state before. And if you could listen to this coaching call and really go back and think about that same time that you were in that flow state, it might help you if you if you were knocked out in flow. If you might have been in the flow state before. So flow state is when you're fully concentrated, nothing bothers you, and like energy, like news doesn't really bother you, and you're extremely productive. You're fully immersed. That's what it is. And you might have experienced it. That's what I was just saying. So the brain has a really big effect on flow state. So if you watch some of my other coaching calls, I've done one about neuroscience, about how the brain works. Definitely do some research on that. I'm not a brain expert. I know a little bit. I just know enough to make sure it's healthy, and ways to make it healthy is to be in flow state, because that is training your brain to make it stronger, more healthier. Okay, because the brain can be trained, and you get anything from this message is the brain can be trained just like every part of your body. So we talked about dopamine, norepinephrine, endorphins, and creating the flow state. So in the neuroscience podcast or the live stream coaching call that I talked about balancing dopamine and serotonin. Those are the motivation and relaxing neurotransmitter. I think the neurotransmitter, neurochemicals, or hormones. But you have to balance this. That's the really big importance of flow, because you could be extremely productive, and without that balance, you come crashing down, or even understanding how to manage that other side of it. And I could get some insight as well too, because I am struggling through it. You can't do it until you struggle through it. So the flow, let's talk about how it affects the body, body itself, right? Anybody that's in flow state, they're pretty much considered like a master of their body, because it affects everything, right? It affects your endurance, your strength, your creativity, your focus, your memory retention, and your learning. A lot of stuff, right? It's basically you are in training mode for your brain when you're in a flow state, which is cool, but it also takes a lot of work, guys. So I know there's a lot of benefits, just like with everything. Let me take this sip of my drink here. All right. So flow is great. It's productive. You could do things a little bit with effortlessly. Become better, right? Overall, for peak performance, there's a lot of benefits to it. And then the new research that has came out, and this has helped me, because I used to be like go 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 go, and I had the opportunity to rest as well too. But then there was a time where I was trying to like go 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 go, but I didn't have time to rest. And like you say, you probably like crash and burn, right? And you keep trying to do it. But if you understand cycles, okay, we're gonna talk a little bit about cycles and how things work, seasons, cycles, day cycles. Let's talk about cycles and how to really understand how it works, because flow comes in cycles. You can't always be on flow, and I thought you could. Right, that was me, mistake. But you can't always be in flow. Flow comes in cycles. It's just like if you sleep for 7 day or 7 hours every day, you're in a certain amount of hours of flow state during the day as well too. And you could time it, but it's starting, if you're new to it, it's just really concentrating your workload in a specific time and really anticipating that and then really working around it. But say cycles. You got a 7 day week cycle. You got 24 hour cycle. You got 365 day cycle. You got seasons, 3 months cycles. Those are cycles when it comes to like the calendar. When it comes to training, work, we measure things in cycles as well too, right? And how many coaching calls did you do in a week? How many coaching calls did you do in a month? How many coaching calls did you do in a quarter, right? You start to assess those in those cycles so you can get an idea of how to interpret it. And with flow is a highly concentrated time where you could do most of your very productive work. If you time your productive work when you're in the flow state, you could be very productive with little or less amount of effort. Instead of having to like work super crazy hard, you work in a very concentrated way, which for me I found works really well. Not everybody works that way, but there's benefits that come from working and going into like a deeper concentrated way working. You become, I believe, more productive. That's why I'm doing this coaching call, trying to persuade you that this is a great way to become more productive, right? When you do deeper work that moves you forward instead of doing the same thing over and over, it's more productive. So that's a way to kind of reframe things if this concept is kind of weird or kind of different. So the first step, this is the 4 new stages of flow by Stephen Kotler. He's been putting this research out. There's a struggle stage. So anybody watching this podcast, live stream coaching call, we've all been in the struggle stage. I'm in the struggle stage right now. And I'm letting you guys know that struggle is part of being productive, being in the flow state, being the best version of yourself. Because if there is no struggle, there's no growth. So you have to know that struggle is good. You're watching podcasts, like you have to reframe that. It's the initial phase where you're trying to solve a problem or achieve a goal and you feel very frustrated and overwhelmed. Some of you guys might be starting a coaching business. Somebody might be starting a new nutrition program, changing their whole lifestyle. This could seem very overwhelming and very hard, and that's where the struggle lies, but that's where the growth occurs. And this is priming your brain that you're going to start doing some hard stuff, right? It's a natural process. When you start to get nervous, you start to get a little overwhelmed. This struggle, that is changing your brain to actually like change. Like if you are getting nervous, that is the feeling that's going to start to happen. And once you start to push this a little bit, that's when your brain starts to get healthier. That's when you start to become more resilient, right? You're starting to embrace discomfort and you're starting to break these small plateaus by doing like small tasks. That's why it's important to do like small hat, because it adds up. It adds up. Okay. So just want to let you know. So, and then the second stage of it is the release stage. In this stage, you let go of conscious effort. You step back, taking a break, meditating, exercise, and you allow your brain to shift from intense focus to relaxation, creating space for flow to emerge. Okay. So how do you trigger this? We talk about techniques like breath work, physical movement, martial arts, dancing, pickleball, simple activities that allow you to detach from what you are working on. You ever been in that stage where you're like, you're working on a project, and it seems like you can't get through or break through? I found many times in my creative process or career or whatever that, when I work on projects, when I step back from it, and even the next day, or even talking to somebody about it, gives you that release and gives you a little bit of break from that creativity block that you might be having. So taking breaks, right? Taking breaks, meditating, walking, exercise, it shifts your brain. So if you're consistent, for me, I always, if I was having some frustrations with life, you guys probably deal with fucking life just like I deal with life, I always leave room to go work out, right? And that workout is mine. It's, I could yell, I could fucking get angry, I could say whatever cuss words to get that frustration and release out. And when that happens, right, there's like a moment of clarity when you release that. And then that creativity block that you might be having goes away, or that problem that you might be having, it gives you space to think about it and help you work through it. All right, so the third stage is the flow stage. So this is actually the flow stage. Okay, so you get in like a stuck and you're trying to solve that problem, and then there's like one day or like a hour, a window where you're like, I got it, right? That is what the flow stage is. It's when everything clicks. You're fully immersed, then performance is at its peaks, you feel effortless, and time may slow down and it might speed up. So how to maximize it. Share tips on focusing on creative, optimal environments, removing distractions, aligning your challenge to your new skill. Okay, your environment is very important to performance or flow, right? Your environment needs to be set up so it's easy to perform. As you can see, like this is my room, my studio and everything. I have it placed exactly where I need to be. Same with my calendars and browsers. When I'm in that flow state, it's to fully concentrate. I'm putting it exactly where it needs to be at the exact time in my head. Also, at the same time, I'm building it, right? So you are making sure that there is no distractions. And when you're ready to complete the activity, it's there. Like if you have a station that's already set up for you to work out, you had everything lined up, you don't have to sift through the laundry, you don't have to do anything, you just go and complete the task, right? So that's a lot about eliminating a lot of stuff out of your environment. And then the other thing is to align your new challenges to your skill level, right? We all have part of ourselves that we like certainty. We like to do things that we know we could do. Like for me, I love Instagram and creating reels. I know that I could do that, right? But I don't spend most of my time doing that. I spend most of my time writing, researching, because that's the hardest thing and the most, and speaking as well too. For me, that is the highest impact skill that I can have right now. Okay. And you might be in that phase of your life where you're like, what skills do I focus on? Naturally, whatever you are struggling on that's keeping you from progressing in your life is what you should be working on, right? If you're actually actively working on it, right? Those challenges that you are facing in the gym, right? We all know that you have certain injuries because you have neglected something. You have neglected something in your life. Maybe it be finance, maybe it be your health. And that is where you want to focus your attention on, okay? Most people focus on things that they're already good at, which is good. There's a certain balance that you got to have of working on things that you're good at. Like I'm good at working out, I'm good at creating an Instagram, but I'm not a great podcaster. I'm not great at building a business. This is where I focus most of my attention on. And when I build this adds to my repertoire, and then I start to build more and start to challenge myself. Guys, thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. My name is Sam Nang, and I just wanted to take a moment and thank you guys for listening to the Flow In, Flow Out podcast. It's been great to have your support, and I want to tell you a little bit more how you can support the community and how we can support you as well too. So, if you like the Flow In, Flow Out podcast, the message that we're putting out, the information, the content, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel on Spotify. Please like it. Please share it. Please share an inspiring message. It helps with the algorithm. It helps get the message out to people that need it. So that would be greatly appreciated. Now, if you are in need of more personal development support in those areas of physical fitness, nutrition, mindset, spirituality, anything in that type of area, please book a discovery call with us. We'd love to help you. We'll get some time on the schedule to chat about what your struggles are, how we can help you, and we'd love to support you in that way. And if you are interested in being a part of being a guest on the podcast, please let me know. If you have an inspiring story, you have something that you want to share, if you have a message that resonates that's similar to what we're sharing here on the Flow In, Flow Out podcast, we welcome you to be part of our show. We're super excited where the growth and the community is growing. So we look forward to having you here, and we look forward to working with you. And thank you guys so much for the continued support and the love. And we'll continue to keep putting out the good vibrations out there to help elevate the collective vibrations. And thank you guys so much. And then that is when you're in that state of growth. Most people do not stay in that growth zone. And when you stay in that growth zone, that is flow. Okay. Hope that made sense. Hope that helped. The last part is the recovery stage. All right. So this is where I'll share from experience, and you might be, one to listen to this, that recovery is extremely important as well too. Just as an intense you go into your training, your physical training, there's a recovery, right? As intense you go in with the flow state of being in a high concentrated state, right? There is a recovery stage. And one thing I do want to talk about this I've experienced that might help you guys that are in the creative process, right? So recovery stage. So what is it? After the intense energy expenditure and flow, the brain and body needs to rest and recover. This phase involves lower energy and emotions like fatigue or even mild depression, right? Fatigue, mild depression. If you get this, right? I've experienced this. I'm like, crushing it. It could be like 3 weeks. It could be 2 weeks. It could be even like a month or 2 or 3, right? You're on a high. Your body, the endorphins or the hormones are filling your body. But there is a downside to it, right? And it could be very detrimental. Not detrimental, but as cycles, you have to understand that there is a downside to flow. So it's not for everybody, but if you go you raise your vibrations and get in a super high flow state, there could be a possibly downside to it. So fatigue or even mild depression, and this you have to account for. I've accounted for it as well too. And how I account for it is that I change my lifestyle to not really do anything on days that I don't have work or weekend, and just to sleep or lay down and just eat and do work that's not really work, things that are easy on my mind, not having to think too much. Rest, some recovery strategies, get in good sleep. That's number one. Foundation of anything is good sleep, right? Healthy brain, healthy flow state, and you could recover quicker, right? Hydration. You can see me and my brother and my family, we're all drinking water, and we're all trying to balance it with electrolytes, salt, and keeping water in is important as well too. It's not about just drinking water, it's about retaining the water and balancing the hydration. And then you got nutrition, right? What you eat, type of food that you eat, your digestion, your nutrition, your macronutrients, your micronutrients, your variety, your fruits, your vegetables, right? This is all tailored specifically to a person, but if you want to get into a flow state, there are certain foods and certain things that could help improve performance and timing as well too. So there's a whole thing of nutrition, and there's a coaching call that I did. It's nutrition and training for peak performance, and we could watch that. But it's a good little introduction on how nutrition is not just eating food. I think I had a discussion the other day, or talking to my brother. It's like it's not about just eating food. Nutrition is a lot more than just eating food, and like there's a lot to it. So, and then active recovery. Active recovery is something that I actually been researching and doing a lot on, like no yoga nidra, like non-sleep rest, meditation, sauna, or relaxing or stretching. Those things are active, right? Sometimes I would feel really guilty when I'm actually taking rest, but I had to say in my head that this rest is active and it's actually making me more productive when I do go back to work and do creative activities. And if you're helping, that was something that I was struggling with. Uh, so let's talk about conditions of flow. How to get into flow state. So that's why we have like personal development coaches and goals and everything. Is like you want to set some goals, and the key thing here that a lot of people don't get into flow state is the feedback, right? Here is something that will really really be practical and help you. We're going to talk about some practical stuff right now. So when you set clear goals, right? Say you want to make a certain amount of money, you want to start a business, you want to start a family, if you want whatever. Everybody has different goals. I always get into this where I start listing stuff, but it's like whatever your goals are, right? It has to be challengeful, and you have to have enough skill to do it. So and you have to get feedback from it, right? People don't like feedback. Most people don't get into flow state because they don't like feedback. If you don't like feedback, you're not going to be able to get into flow state, because you need people to bounce off ideas. You need people to critique your offer. You need people to critique your podcast. You need people critique your coaching call. You need people, like if you're a bodybuilder, people need to critique your diet. People need to critique your poses, right? This is all about being coached and growing. It's not a lot. A lot of it is the ego that really gets people from not getting into this flow state. In a flow state, like if you want to be able to speak, you have to be able to be okay with what you're saying. When you hesitate, when you second guess yourself, that's when you start to get nervous. That's when you start to get anxious, right? So it's really like doing a lot of inner work as well too, um, and releasing these thoughts. And you could do it anyway. Feedback is a great way. That's why coaches have coaches. I'm a coach. I have plenty of coaches. I have coaches that in specific areas that I need, where I feel like I'm struggling, like I will no doubtly go and reach and ask a question, and if I need more support on it, I will continue on it until that problem is solved. Most people don't have or aware of problems or even know how to solve them or even think to solve problems. That's why we have coaches, right? Talk to a coach if you might be struggling with this kind of stuff. Um, Practical flow triggers, like little techniques that you could do throughout the day. If you get knocked out and you're not in this creative mode, if you're like an entrepreneur and you get stuck, right? The Pomodoro technique is like the 20-minute. You could do some breath work. You could do some meditation. You could do some journaling. It breaks you out of that work cycle. And things that will help you get into deep work. And a lot of people don't uh, do this. It's very hard, is to single task something, right? You actually work on things and plan it in your calendar that you're going to work on this specific task. You could give all your focus and concentration into that one thing, and then you could get into a deeper, better, more concentrated flow state. All right, cool. So I hope that helped. Hope that made sense. Those are some practical things, but I am a big fan of flow. It's just like everything, it needs to be worked, it needs to be developed, and everybody has this ability to be in this flow state. And the best thing that I can say is, if you have been in this flow state, maybe you've been knocked out because you got some you got the life kicked out of you, and I've been there, right? I got the life kicked out of me, and for me, this was the way to keep everything and bring it back, keep myself centered. I've struggled with a lot of mental health issues, and having like a framework and understanding how cycles work and being coached on this helps me incorporate my holistic approach into life, right? So when I talk about it, it's a life, it's peak performance, it's lifestyle, right? It is your practice. And if this message of flow, of pushing yourself, in the right way, in the right direction, reach out. I do coaching calls. I do one-on-one coaching. I have a coaching package that I'm putting together, or I have, but I'm actually updating it, which is exciting. So there's lots of things. When you're in flow state, you're in a creative mode, and you could create and create and create. And as I end the podcast and talk about a little bit about flow and how you can apply it. I am a practitioner of flow. People, coaches out there are practitioners, right? If you're looking to be better, this message is for like people that want to be better. If you're okay with the status quo, if you're okay with just the regular, however you are, and the reality is, if you're not growing and things are moving, you're actually like dying. So I want to hit you with some very hard quotes before we leave this coaching call, this podcast. One of them, it was from Ben Franklin. I heard it. And I don't know, I didn't write it down, but exactly, it's most people die at the age of 25. We just don't bury them until like 77. I guess that's the average age. And that hits for me very hard. And I share this because I'm 38 and I'm still developing, cultivating myself, knowing that there is more out there, right? Some of you guys that might be listening, like, what is this guy speaking about? What is he talking about? Why is he talking about flow? Why is he talking about psychology? Because there's more out there, right? If you're not growing, you are dying. And the majority of folks, when they graduate college, they find a career, they find their group of friends, their patterns of behavior, things that they love, and that's it. You are actually not in the process of growing. And as it ages and stuff, you're going to be going into that negative, when Ben Franklin says that we bury you at 77, right? So you have to cultivate this. Flow is a cultivation of yourself. And hopefully that helps. And I'm going to leave you with another quote, a Bruce Lee quote. I love this. I love it so much. I tatted it right here, but it's translated in Khmer here. But let me say it. Let me say it for you guys. Move like water, still like a mirror, respond like an echo. Okay? So there's 3 stages there. When you're moving, when you're flowing, you're like water, you're fluid, right? But we're not always moving at all times. When we're recovering, when we're resting, when we're meditating, we have to stay still, right? And in order us to be developing, we have to be still like a mirror. When you're looking at a mirror, you're reflecting at yourself. Okay. And then this last part, respond like an echo. I really had to meditate on what this was for a long time. I didn't know what it was, but to break it down, respond like an echo is a noise, it's a vibration. You want to respond to what you've done repeatedly, right? But incrementally, just a little bit better. It's not crazy, right? So it's like an echo. It go pop, 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 pop. So those are the repetitions. Those are the vibrations that you're trying to bring. You're trying to bring this art to it of productivity, of recovery, balancing your neurotransmitters, your hormones, finding fulfillment, and finding balancing all that. So that's the art of flow by me, right? Let me read you guys my outro. Hope you guys like it. Thank you guys for tuning into the live stream. So remember that flow isn't just a fleeting moment. It's a way of life. Whether you're crushing it at work, creating art, or leveling up in the gym, flow is your secret weapon to unlocking peak performance every day. As Bruce Lee said, move like water, still like a mirror, and respond like an echo. Find your rhythm, stay present, and let flow guide you. Now go out there, apply what you learned, and watch how everything shifts when you step into your power. Keep pushing, keep flowing, and keep leveling up. Hope you guys like that.